I went and did my VA out processing physical. All right, so I had to get my medical records and then go to that guy, a civilian doctor off post, and get those.
Do you have a shaky finger?
Yeah.
Did he
Right.
have a knuckle the size of your fist?
No, no. Luckily, it wasn't a flight physical. So
Dr. Super Knuckle?
you're right. Yeah,
With the SF ring on with the SF ring on?
and honestly, all he checked out was what I was claiming. Right, so my shoulder and my back at the time. I think there was, and one other thing, and he checked those things out, and that was it. Like he's like, all right. He didn't even check the blood pressure or anything. He was like, there you go. I'll send this report to the VA, and you'll hear back from them in another couple months. And then I went on my way, and that was it. Like, and I think honestly, he looked at my Army records, like the Army medical records, just to see if anything I was claiming was something that I actually dealt with when I was in the military. And of course, they all were like on the record, so they all got approved. But it was just like I got like 10% or something. I don't even know, whatever percent. And so that was it. And like he checked my shoulder and my back, and that was pretty much all he did. And he was like, "Go away. All right, I'll never see you again, and I'll send your paperwork or my findings to the VA office, and they'll figure out your claim." So that was it. That was all I got. And honestly, the only reason I even got the VA thing is I went. It was one of the things we had to check off is go talk to the VA. So it was just like one person in like a office somewhere, and they were like, "Harry, go talk to." They set up my the physical. They set up my physical, and that was all I saw of them. Like I never saw them again, or never even heard or from anybody else in the VA ever again. Like that was it. It was just like, here you go. You have to get this checked off so that you can actually leave post. So you have to go and get that checked off, and then they sent me to the doc, and that was the last I heard of it. And then I think it was like 6 months later or something like that. A giant package showed up at my brother's house in North Carolina because it was still under that address, even though I'd already moved back to California, and my sister-in-law had to like mail that whole package to me. So and at first I was like, "Oh, I don't need it, just throw it away." And then she's like, "No, this is your VA claim stuff." I was like, "Oh, I probably do need that. Yes." Please send it with
a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that thing, right? So yeah, I was like, and that was it. That was all I heard about or seen from the VA, except for what I knew about talking to other veterans in California when I got back here, and what I seen on the news for the next 10 years, 8 years, whatever it was, until I actually needed to go to the VA for like a surgery, because that was it, And but luckily within that time, they had just revamped Long Beach. So instead of being one rinky-dink little clinic, it's now like a giant like actual hospital that's really kind of decent, because I go there all the time now. But it's a decent hospital now.
It's funny you bring up Long Beach Medical Center. I was there for a week.
Yeah.
I did some of my VSO training down there.
Oh, nice.
That was in 2010.
Oh, so you were there when it was nice then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
where it was like the staff is like half VA, half Long Beach Medical Center.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I think they still have it that way, where it's like half and half kind of thing.
Yeah, all the medical students are over there.
Right.
And that's where they're getting all their training.
Yeah.
So I always ask people, like, what's your VA experience like then? So CJ, you sound like you had a pretty decent one.
You know what? I think had I have not waited for the revamped like VA, because it was after a lot of things had, like, I just remember seeing on the news, like there was a lot of people cussing out the VA and doing all this stuff, and then when I went in there, it was after all that, and they went through like a whole, like the head of the VA got kicked out, like a lot of things got revamped and changed. So had I probably not waited those 8 to 10 years, whatever it was, I would have probably never went back to the VA because from what I heard, Long Beach was one of the worst ones back in the day, and now like honestly, I'd say it's one of the better ones. Like I said, I had my hernia surgery there. It was great. I didn't have any issues. You know, they didn't leave any scalpels or tools inside of me. You know, so which is one of the stories I heard from one of the older veterans about Long Beach a long time ago. Like they left like some tools in them, which you hear that from every doctor, hospital, anyways. But you know, the reputation that the VA had once we got out, it was atrocious. Now I would say it's a lot better.
Yeah, it's definitely not your grandfather's VA anymore.
Right. Yeah. You know.
And then when it comes to, and I'll be honest with you, when it comes to people's experience in the VA, their experience is just as individual as they are.
Yeah.
So the veteran creates their experience in the VA. So, I mean, in all honesty, if you go in the VA with a shitty attitude and you're in there and you're just pissed off and you're yelling and cussing at people or you're giving people attitude and being disrespectful, I mean, do you really expect them to give you top-notch treatment and care and respect?
Right.
I mean, you're not showing
Especially
anybody
when
respect.
there's a bunch of veterans working there, right? They're like,
Correct. I'll tell you, there's a lot more veterans working in the VA than anybody thinks anymore.
Right.
I would say it's at least 50-50 veteran to civilian. But I mean, like, I only use the VA. I don't use any civilian healthcare. I mean, I have Kaiser for my wife and kids, but I don't go. I don't use it. Everything I do is in the VA. So I mean, I've been using the VA healthcare system for 10 years. Yeah, I've had nothing but a great experience. I've had nothing but great service. I mean, I get well taken care of, but I mean, I just go in there. I treat them the way I would want to be treated. Right. And, I mean, I've yet to have a problem.
Right. Yeah. And I feel the same way. Like I
would say it's a great healthcare system.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a great experience there with the VA. And you know, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I waited in the emergency room or whatever for like a couple hours." I was like, "Have you ever been to a regular hospital?
Right.
You wait for a couple hours. Like there's no difference from what I think." From my experience,
I've yet to have any difference in healthcare wait times or anything with the VA as civilian.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. My wait times and everything else have not been any different, right? There was one thing, that happened with me is I had a scheduled appointment for a physical or something, and the VA, they called me and they were like, "Hey, we have this person, he's got cancer. Can we slip your physical like a couple weeks?" And it wasn't even that bad. It was like a week, maybe like the next week. They were like, "Can we slip it so that we can see this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I don't have cancer, so take care of this guy," right? Like so, and it wasn't like they just slipped it and then said, "Hey, we moved your thing." They called and asked me. They're like, "Hey, can we slip it just so that we can get this guy in?" And I was like, "Yeah, great, go ahead." So there was I've had no issue with the VA in that aspect. So.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.